On the board by my sink tonight, there is a knob of ginger with a green bump on one end, 4 scallion roots, the bottom of a romaine heart, and a handful of carrot tops. That is one dinner. Over a week, it fills a bowl. Most of that is not garbage. Some of it is a plant that has not been told it was thrown out yet. This is not about composting, and it is not about saving pennies. It is not about feeding yourself from a windowsill either, because you cannot. My name is Wendell. The ginger in my kitchen window came off a grocery shelf 11 years ago, and I have not bought any since. 20 scraps. Every one of them is already in your house tonight. And with most of them, you see something happening within days. But I am going to be straight with you about something first. 3 of the 20 on this list are the most repeated kitchen scrap tips on the internet. All 3 of them do something other than what you have been promised. They are not useless. They are just not what people say. I will tell you which 3 when we get to them. Now, the reason this list is in the order it is in, these 20 do not all give you the same thing, and nobody ever mentions that. Some of them turn into an actual plant that keeps producing for years and makes copies of itself. Some give you 2 or 3 harvests and then quit, and some give you exactly 1 and then they are finished. So I have sorted them by that and nothing else. We start with the ones that genuinely never stop, work down through the ones that give you a few rounds, and end with the ones that give you 1. If you only have time for a handful, take the first 8. Those are the ones you set up once and stop thinking about. Before the list, here is everything you need, because the barrier to entry on this is close to nothing. A glass jar or a shallow bowl, tap water, a windowsill that gets light for a good part of the day. That is the whole kit. Nothing on this list requires a grow light, a heat mat, or a bag of seed starting mix to get started. 3 rules cover all 20. Water goes about an inch deep and no deeper. The cut base sits in water and the top stays dry. Submerge the whole thing and it rots instead of growing. And that is the single most common way people fail at this. Change the water every 2 days. Not top it up. Pour it out and put fresh in. Standing water goes cloudy, then it smells, then whatever you had in it turns soft at the base. 2 days. It takes 10 seconds. And give it real light, not a dark corner of the counter that feels bright to you because your eyes adjust. A sill. This matters more than anything else, and I will come back to why near the end. Group 1. The ones that never stop. Number 1 is ginger, and it is the single best thing on this list. A piece of ginger root with a small pale bump on it is not food waste. That bump is a growth point, and it is the same thing an eye is on a potato. Set the piece in a wide, shallow pot, bump facing up, and cover it with an inch of soil. Wide matters more than deep because ginger spreads sideways. Keep it warm. Keep the soil barely damp and be patient. This one is slower than most of the list. A shoot pushes through in 2 to 4 weeks. From there, it just keeps going. When you want ginger, tip the pot. Break off a piece from the outside of the clump and put the rest back. You are not harvesting a plant. You are taking a slice off something that keeps rebuilding itself. Mine has been going 11 years in the same window. The second one on this list works exactly like ginger because it is a close relative. Turmeric. Same knobby rhizome, same growth buds, same wide pot, same inch of soil. It is slower. Turmeric wants a longer warm season, and it will sulk in a cold room. But it behaves the same way, and you divide it the same way. Two things worth knowing. The leaves get large and it turns into a handsome plant, so give it room. And the fresh root is a completely different thing from the powder in a jar. It is bright, almost citrusy. Number 3 is sweet potato, and this one multiplies faster than anything else here. Take a sweet potato, stick 3 toothpicks around the middle, and rest it in a jar so the bottom third sits in water. In 2 to 3 weeks, purple shoots come out of the top. Those shoots are called slips. Here is what makes it remarkable. One sweet potato does not give you one plant. It gives you a dozen. When a slip is about 5 inches long, you snap it off, put it in its own glass of water, and it grows its own roots in under a week. Then it goes in soil. One forgotten sweet potato in the back of a cupboard is an entire bed of them by summer. Now, number 4 is potato, and I have to give you a warning with this one. A potato with eyes on it will grow. Cut it so each piece has 2 eyes. Let the cut faces dry overnight and plant them 4 inches deep. That part is simple and it works, and a potato patch feeds you every year after because you save your own seed from the harvest. The problem is where the potato came from. Grocery store potatoes are usually treated so they will not sprout. Colorado State University Extension says it plainly. Treated potatoes will not grow if you plant them in a garden. There is also a disease question, which I will come back to at the end. So, potatoes belong in this group, absolutely, just not necessarily the one under your sink right now. Another one that belongs here, and this is the one most people already have going without realizing it, is garlic. A single clove that has started to push a green shoot out the top is ready to plant. Point the flat end down, the pointed end up, and bury it about 2 inches. Now, here is the part that matters, because this is where expectations go wrong. In 10 days or so, you have garlic greens, and those are genuinely good. Chopped over eggs or potatoes, milder than the clove itself, and you can cut them repeatedly. A whole new bulb is a different matter. That takes a full season, planted in fall and pulled the following summer. Both things are true at once, and most videos only tell you the first one. Number 6 is lemongrass, and it is the easiest transformation on this entire list. Buy a stalk with the base still on it, not trimmed flat, but with that slightly bulbous end intact. Stand it in an inch of water on a windowsill and change the water every couple of days. In about 2 weeks, white roots come out of the bottom and a new green shoot comes out of the top. Put it in a pot and it becomes a clump. Within a season, that clump has multiple stalks, and you pull stalks from the outside the way you would with rhubarb. One $3 bundle and you are done buying it. The 7th is horseradish, and I want to warn you before I recommend it. Any piece of horseradish root with a bit of crown on it will grow. Bury it and it grows. Forget about it and it grows. Try to remove it later and every fragment you leave behind grows. That is why it belongs at the top of this list. It is also why it goes in a pot or in a corner where you do not mind losing the ground. It is genuinely permanent, and I mean that in both directions. The last one in this group is not a root at all. It is the herb stems in the bunch you bought for one recipe. Basil is the star. Take a stem about 4 inches long, pull the leaves off the lower half, and stand it in water. Roots appear in 7 to 14 days. Once they are a couple of inches long, it goes into a pot and becomes a whole basil plant, and you take cuttings off that one the same way. Mint does the same thing, faster, and then tries to take over the yard. Same warning as horseradish. Rosemary works too, but takes closer to a month, and you have to be patient with it. A $3 bunch of basil, treated this way, ends the basil line on your grocery list permanently. That is group 1. 8 things that once you get them going, keep going without you. If you did not know about the sweet potato slips or the lemongrass, that is the whole reason I make these. Subscribing costs you nothing. Do it now rather than at the end, because the next group is where most people are already trying and quietly getting it wrong. Group 2. Several rounds and then they are done. Number 9 is scallions, and this is the most famous one on the whole list. Keep the white ends with the roots attached. Stand them in an inch of water, and green regrows almost immediately. You will see visible growth in 2 to 3 days, and you can cut again within a week. Here's the part that gets skipped. In water, they weaken. The first regrowth is nearly as good as the original. The second is thinner, and by the third or fourth, they are pale and stringy and taste of nothing. The plant is living on what was stored in that white base, and eventually that runs out. The fix takes 1 minute. After the first cut, move them out of the glass and into soil. In soil, they are not running on savings anymore. They are feeding themselves. A scallion in a pot on a sunny sill will keep giving you cuttings for a year or more. Water to start, soil to keep. That single move applies to almost everything in this group. Leeks behave the same way as scallions, just slower and larger. Save about 2 inches of the white base with the roots on it. Same glass of water, same visible growth within a few days. The regrowth is thinner than a shop-bought leek, so do not expect to rebuild the original. What you get is a steady supply of mild leek greens for soup. Same rule applies. Move it to soil after the first cut, or it fades out on you. Number 11 is celery, and this one is worth doing with clear eyes. Cut the bottom 2 inches off the bunch, sit it in a shallow dish of water, and within 3 or 4 days, pale yellow leaves push up out of the center. It is genuinely satisfying to watch, and it is a good one to put in front of a child. What it will not do is rebuild a bunch of celery. What you get is a small cluster of leafy stalks, thinner and stronger tasting than what you bought. They are excellent in stock and in soup, and they are not what you slice for a snack tray. Move it to soil after 2 weeks, and it does considerably better. Left in water, it eventually goes soft at the base and turns slimy. Bok choy does the same thing as celery, and rather better. The base, an inch of water, and a new rosette of small leaves starts forming from the center within about 5 days. It is quick and it is reliable. The reason it beats celery is that small bok choy leaves are perfectly good raw, so you are not limited to cooking them. Put the base in soil after a week, and it will give you a proper little head rather than just a cluster. One more in this group before the last 2, and it is the one nobody thinks of: fennel. The bulb base regrows the same way the others do, and it gives you feathery fronds within a week. You will not get a second bulb, but fennel fronds are the best part anyway for most cooking, and buying them separately is not really a thing. Number 14 is romaine lettuce, and this is where I have to slow you down a little. Stand the heart in a ½ inch of water, and small leaves come out of the middle in 3 or 4 days. It looks like a miracle for about a week. Then it stops. You get a few small leaves. They are thinner and more bitter than what you bought. And shortly after that, the whole thing bolts and turns unpleasant. Lettuce is built to go to seed as soon as it is stressed, and being cut and stood in a glass is stress. So take it for what it is, one small harvest, mostly for the pleasure of watching. Nobody is filling a salad bowl from a lettuce base, and anybody who tells you otherwise has not tried it past week 2. Cabbage rounds out this group. The thick core left after you shred a head will push out small sprouts around the top edge in a week or so. They are not a new cabbage. They are little leafy shoots that taste like cabbage, and they are good raw in a slaw. Put the core in soil and you get more of them for longer, which is the same rule as everything else in this group. That is group 2. All of them work. None of them work forever, and knowing which is the difference between being pleased and being disappointed. Before the last group, let me deal with the 2 ways people lose every one of these, because it is almost never the plant's fault. The first is the water going bad. A scallion base in a glass that has not been changed in a week is sitting in something closer to soup than to water. Bacteria multiply, the cut surface goes soft, and one morning you find the whole thing slumped over and slimy. People conclude they have a black thumb. They have a dirty glass. Fresh water every 2 days, and give the roots a quick rinse under the tap while you are at it. That one habit saves more of these than any other single thing. The second is light, and it is the one that fools everybody. Put a scallion base somewhere dim, and it will still grow. That is the trap. It grows tall, fast, and pale. Long stretched stems with hardly any color, reaching for a window that is too far away. It looks like success for about a week. What is happening is that the plant is spending its stored energy hunting for light instead of building tissue. Those stretched pale shoots have almost no flavor. They flop over, and the base is exhausted much faster than it should be. Gardeners call it stretching or legginess, and once it starts, you cannot undo it. You can only cut back and move the jar. So if your regrowth has been thin, pale, and disappointing, the odds are it was never a water problem or a nutrient problem. It stood too far from a window. Group 3. 1 round, and here are the 3 I warned you about. Number 16 is carrot tops, and this is the most repeated kitchen scrap tip there is. It is on my own thumbnail, and it does not do what you think. Planting a carrot top will never give you another carrot. That is not my opinion. Heather Stoven, an extension horticulturist with Oregon State University, puts it directly. Once the taproot has been removed, it cannot grow another one. The growing point for the root came away with the carrot you ate. What is left is the leaf growing tip. So you get foliage and some fine fibrous roots. And that is the end of it. To get an actual carrot, you would have to let the top flower, collect the seed, and plant that. So why is it on this list at all? Because carrot greens are food, and most people throw them away twice. Once when they buy the carrots, and again when they give up on the jar. They taste like parsley with a carrot edge, a little more bitter, and they hold up to heat better than parsley does. 3 things I actually do with them. They go into stock, and they are better in stock than the carrot itself. They make a rough pesto. Carrot greens, garlic, oil, whatever nut is in the cupboard, and a hard cheese if you have it. And chopped fine, they go into a grain salad the way you would use parsley. One caution so you are not surprised. They are strong. A whole bunch's worth blended straight into a pesto is more assertive than most people expect, so cut them with parsley or spinach the first time and adjust from there. Grow the top in water for a couple of weeks. Cut the greens, use them. Just do not stand there waiting for a carrot. Beet tops are the same story and the same biology. Cut top in water, greens come up in days. No new beet, not ever, for exactly the reason carrots do not. The root you ate contained the machinery for making a root. The consolation here is better than with carrots, though. Beet greens are a proper vegetable in their own right, closer to chard than to a garnish, and they are perfectly good sautéed with a little garlic. That garlic can come from number 5. The 18th is onion bottoms, and this is the third of the 3. The root end of an onion will regrow. You will get green shoots, and they behave like a mild scallion, and they are useful. You will not get another onion. A bulb onion forms in response to day length in its first season from seed or from a set, a small dormant bulb. A cut base has already done that job and spent itself. Left long enough, it will try to flower rather than bulb. So it is a green onion substitute and a decent one. It is not an onion factory, and the difference matters if you were planning your garden around it. Number 19 is the pineapple crown, and this one is honest but slow. Twist the leafy top off, strip the bottom few leaves back to expose about an inch of stem, let the cut end dry for a day or two, then set it in water or straight into soil. Roots form over 3 to 6 weeks and you get a genuine pineapple plant, and it is a striking houseplant. The fruit is the problem. It takes 2 to 3 years and only in a warm, bright spot with real attention. That is not a reason to skip it. It is a reason to know what you signed up for. And the last one on the list is the avocado pit. 3 toothpicks, jar of water, broad end down, roots in 4 to 6 weeks, and then a stem. Everybody has done this at some point, and it is genuinely fun. It makes a houseplant. Getting fruit from a seedling avocado is a long shot in the best case. It takes many years, and it needs a climate most of us do not have. And the fruit would not match the one you ate anyway, because the seed does not come true to the parent. Commercial avocado trees are grafted for that exact reason. So it goes at the very bottom of this list, and it is still worth doing with the kid on a rainy afternoon. It is just not free food. Now let me do the arithmetic honestly, because the phrase free food gets thrown around and it deserves a straight answer. None of this is going to feed you. A windowsill of jars is not a food supply, and anybody who implies otherwise is selling something. You will not stop buying groceries, and you will not notice this on a monthly budget. What it actually replaces is a specific and irritating category. The small, fresh thing you buy in a quantity far larger than you need, use a third of, and throw out the rest of. Herbs are the clearest case. A bunch of basil for one recipe, 3/4 of which liquefies in the back of the fridge. Take 4 stems out of that bunch before you cook, and the next bunch never gets bought. Ginger is the same story. Most people buy a hand of it, grate a teaspoon, and find the rest shriveled a month later. Scallions, lemongrass, garlic greens, the whole herb group, same pattern. That is the real return here, and it is worth having. It is just a different thing from feeding a household, and I would rather tell you that up front than let you find out in November. There is one more thing, and it explains why some of you will do everything right and still get nothing. Quite a lot of grocery produce is treated so it will not sprout, because a sprouting potato or sprouting onion is an unsellable potato or onion. Colorado State University Extension is direct about potatoes. They are typically treated with a sprout inhibitor and will not grow if you plant them. Extension raises a second point worth taking seriously. Produce grown for eating is not inspected for the diseases that matter once you put something into your soil. Certified seed potatoes are. The practical version is short. If a potato, onion, garlic, or piece of ginger is already sprouting on your counter, it was not effectively treated and you can use it. If something sits for weeks and does absolutely nothing, that is your answer. It is not your fault and there is no trick that fixes it. For anything going into an actual garden bed rather than a pot on a sill, buy proper seed stock. For windowsill projects, whatever sprouts on its own is fine. So there is the list, and the useful part of it is the sorting rather than the count. 8 of these you set up once and they carry on without you. 7 will feed you for a while as long as you move them from water into soil, and that one move is the whole difference. And 5 give you one round, and knowing that in advance is what keeps you from feeling cheated. Start with 1. Whatever is on your board tonight, the ginger, the scallion ends, the basil stems, put it in water before you go to bed and look at it in 3 days. Then tell me in the comments which one you started with and what state you are in, because a windowsill in Arizona and a windowsill in Maine are 2 different climates. I would be grateful if you subscribe to the channel. New videos go up every day. See you next time, friends.